That is crazy. I mean, that is such a huge number. Welcome
to
What's Up Philippines? Today we are going to be reacting to a video that talks about why there are so many Filipino nurses in the US. And you know what? I've noticed that myself. There are Filipino nurses all over the world. It's crazy.
And there are also initiatives all over the world, especially like in Germany, to bring Filipino nurses to Germany. And I wonder why.
Yeah, I think we know why it is in Germany and Austria. Because there's just a lack of young people in Austria and Germany. It's a very aging population. We need a lot of nurses in those countries, and they need people to fill those jobs. That's why they have special visas. But it would interest me, like, why specifically in the US?
Yes.
US has like the most strict immigration regulations, and it's a very interesting topic. And also right now, you know, nurses, doctors are needed all over the world, so it will be really interesting to see that. If you guys are new around here, we're Mike and Nelly.
Hi.
We are two travel vloggers that started doing reaction videos. If you'd like to see our content, which is related to travel, food, and lifestyle here in the Philippines, and traveling obviously all around the world, check out our main channel, Making It Happen vlog, that'll pop up right here. If you're new to our reaction channel, hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 10K on this channel this week.
Okay.
Let's jump into the video.
Let's go.
Immigrants, we get the job done, or so the song goes. So we all know that when it comes to labor, the United States loves immigrants. And one of the most unique stories of American immigration and labor actually comes from the Philippines.
The
In particular,
Philippines.
it's the story of Filipino women who became nurses throughout the country's hospitals. Hey guys, I'm Sana. This is AJ Plus, and this Sunday I want to talk a bit about why there are so many Filipino nurses in the United States and what that says about the history of Filipino Americans and Filipino labor.
Okay, here's one thing that I thought. It's like mainly Europeans in the US, but it is in fact not.
Sana, the US has a lot of Filipino nurses? Yep. Here's what's up. Back in 2015, foreign-born Filipinos made up the fourth largest group of immigrants in the country. And the majority of Filipinos are in California, where they make up 20% of the nursing force, which is impressive.
We have a lot of viewers from California.
They make up about 4% of the state's population. Now, it's easy to think of the Philippines as all the way over there, and the United States right over here. But Dr. Catherine Stephen Choi, who wrote the book Empire of Care, says that imagining Filipinos as simply foreigners actually erases a history between the countries.
Filipinos, and specifically certain groups of Filipino immigrant workers, like immigrant nurses, are not foreigners in the way we tend to think about foreigners. They actually have historical interaction with Americans.
And that interaction begins like so
that
many
is
other
true. That's something that we learned throughout our journey here in the Philippines.
The archipelago we now call the Republic of the Philippines for a few centuries. In 1898,
such a rich history, so much background in the Philippines, and how it connects worldwide.
As a result, the Americans got a lot of territories from the Spanish, one of which was the Philippines. But the people of the islands didn't welcome the Americans. They wanted their independence, not more colonizers. That resistance led to the 3-year-long Philippines-American War from 1899 to 1902, and it was fought between U.S. forces and Filipino nationalists. And it was a brutal war for Filipinos. It killed 20,000 combatants and 200,000 civilians as a result of the violence, diseases like cholera and malaria, and even famine. When the war ended, the Philippines...
I know that our videos are usually upbeat, but this is I would say, educational topic for us. So we are still learning about the culture and history about the Philippines, so bear with us.
We also had American colonial officials going to the Philippines and exposing Filipinos to American culture, to the English language, to Americanized education. And this kind of training influenced so many different groups of Filipinos to dream about the U.S. and to desire to migrate there.
American health workers in the Philippines needed locals to deal with the health issues of Filipinos because malaria and cholera had killed so many during the war. But they didn't find any nurses trained the way the Americans had been trained. And so they began recruiting Filipino women to work as what were called volunteer auxiliary and contract nurses. Around the same time in 1903, President William Taft passed a law that allowed and funded certain Filipino students to study in American colleges. And this led to the the first wave of Filipino nurses coming to the United States.
That is
and it
very
also led to a lot of
interesting.
the nurses staying. They even established their presence with organizations like the Filipino
I mean, we
Nurses
have
Association
lived
of
in the
New York,
US,
and the waves of Filipino nurse
but we
migration
have never
continued
been to the
throughout
hospital,
20th
so we
century,
didn't even know that
especially
there are
as the
so
United
many
States opened up
Filipino
its borders
nurses.
more. During World War II, more
And even
Filipino
our
nurses
friend
were
Cherry,
trained to
she's a
serve in the
nurse.
US
Yeah.
military. And during the
In San
same time, the
Francisco, so.
Philippines came under Japanese occupation. After the war ended, the United States granted the territory independence in 1946. And 2 years later, the State Department introduced the Exchange Visitor Program, a little something created to push back against Soviet influence. You know, bring more people into the United States and show them what the capitalist good life is actually all about. Because of the decades-long colonial relationship,
I should really
and
like those
education
kind of
in English
videos.
Yeah.
language, the Philippines became a model country for the program, and the nurses led the way. The program was so successful that it actually encouraged more Filipinos to go into nursing. The number of nurses in the Philippines jumped over 700%.
Wow,
from
that is a
7,000
lot.
in 1948 to over 57,000
Wow.
in 1953. The program also encouraged the building of more nursing schools in the Philippines. Back in 1940, there were only 10, and today, 429. That program, in addition to the 1965 Immigration Act,
Let us know in the comments
opened up
down
the
below
borders
if
even more for
you are a
educated
nurse or know
and so by
somebody that is a nurse, because
1973,
it's
we end up
so,
seeing over 12,000
it seems to be
Filipino
like
nurses
a
immigrate to the United
huge,
States. But I gotta mention this.
I would say,
it wasn't
industry
just
here in the
because of
Philippines.
American immigration policies that so many Filipinos
And we also
were
know that
migrating
there are a
to the
lot
US.
of
In the
OFWs
1970s, with
all
President
around the
Ferdinand
world.
Marcos, who
So
ruled
let us
under
know
martial
what you
law,
do
a
for a living,
concept
just
Yeah.
for us as
was
context to
introduced.
understand
The whole idea behind the export of
what
labor
your
was that
job
Filipinos
is.
would travel abroad on work contracts, make money, send it back home, and thus help a struggling economy. The government even created an agency that directly provided migrant labor to foreign governments and companies. That policy pretty much made the Philippines one of the top exporters of labor. I mean, check this. About 10% of all Filipinos are foreign
insane.
workers. That's around 10 million people in around
Wow.
170 different countries. And did the policy of exporting labor actually work for the economy? Well, for decades, the Philippines has been one of the
Yes.
top 5 recipients
Okay,
of money transfers.
can we just stop
from
here for a
migrant labor.
second? So, it's so interesting because Mike and I have talked about this, and we saw like a huge wave of Filipinos going abroad. So we started thinking, why is that? Why is everybody going abroad? And we figured out for ourselves, it's to, you know,
Support the family back at
support
home.
the family back at home, but also to have like a different experience in life. And as we know, for now there are so many of you guys, even like in Hong Kong, in Japan, Dubai, the US,
All around the world.
So it's very interesting for us to know that, because we don't have that in Austria.
Yeah.
Like Austrians
It's not very common. Austrians
Yeah.
stay in Austria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Western Union. Not sponsored. Take, for instance, how in 2015, over 3 million Filipinos left the country to work abroad. They
3
spent back
million, that is-
$28.5 billion, which made up about a tenth of the
Yeah.
Philippines' total GDP. So exported
That
labor
is-
is
that is
critical
quite
for the
impressive.
Philippines,
Yeah.
And it really does get to the heart of the Filipino immigrant experience, whether in a country like Saudi Arabia or in the United States. And it's equally important to note that despite the so-called success of the export of Filipino labor, it's come with a lot of sacrifice, struggle, and vulnerability. Take, for
Yeah.
example, Filipino
But
nurses
I think
in
it's
the
not
United
just
States
like
who
the
are
economical
professionals
aspects of it. It's
discrimination.
also that like
vulnerability
Filipinos are very caring people.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect job for Filipinos because they're so nurturing actually. So
by being assigned sometimes the most undesirable kinds of work on the nursing floor, or being assigned on the most undesirable shifts. Unfortunately, they are not the kinds of challenges we often think about in the United States that these women would have because they are professional immigrant workers.
But even though exported or imported labor is central to Filipino migration, especially to the United States, that's not the only part of the Filipino immigrant experience. In the United States, Filipinos, both citizens and immigrants, have used their experiences to fight for workers' rights. In fact, one of the biggest labor movements in the United States was sparked by Filipino laborers. In 1965, Filipino
I actually received a lot of messages from you guys also saying you're working a lot of night shifts.
Yeah.
And it's with the undesirable workplaces, that's something that, you know, I can relate to, being that my mom is a cleaning lady as an immigrant, and my dad is a truck driver, so
of the U.S.'s social fabric.
we're
They've
immigrants.
not only provided labor in industries that needed it the most, but at times have also protected it. So we just covered Filipino nurses in the United States, and we've also
Wow.
talked in the past about Indian Americans in the motel industry.
That's so interesting. Actually, it's interesting the number that like 10 million Filipinos abroad make up 10% of the national GDP. That is crazy. I mean, that is such a huge number.
Yeah.
Wow, really impressive.
And fun fact about the Philippines, if you have never been here, there is a specific line at the border when you enter the Philippines for OFWs, for overseas Filipino workers.
Entering and exiting.
Yeah. So it's like a big thing here. It's very different from anything that we know anywhere.
Yeah, I think the Philippines is very unique in that sense. I don't think there's this system anywhere else in the world. And literally everywhere we go, everywhere we travel to worldwide, we are always going to meet Filipinos, which is really cool.
And they're really, really hard workers. And right now during this whole, lockdown quarantine situation, they are doing the best as being the frontliners who are like doing a really great job at keeping the system going.
Yeah.
So huge thank you to
all the
OFWs, all the nurses out there who are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. We have more videos, a little bit upbeat. Some are sad, some are educational, so definitely check it out in this playlist here. And we'll see you in the next video, right?
Yes. If you enjoyed the video,
give it a thumbs up.
If you're new around here,
subscribe.
And ring the bell as well.
Ding, ding, ding.
We'll see you guys next time on
What's Up Philippines?
Bye-bye.